Hey there, and welcome to No Recipe Required. So today we got the hankering in my house for spaghetti and meatballs, but want to make it a little bit healthier than what I normally do or what I frequently do with meatballs made of beef and pork. So I went to the store, grabbed some ground turkey. Going to add obviously some vegetables, some spices. We'll cook them off, make the absolute perfect turkey meatball for you. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if we're going to make turkey meatballs, we need some turkey meat. Woo! So I've got about 1.5 pounds. I'm going to add, call it 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. I'm going to add about 3/4 of a cup of breadcrumbs. Now, I'm using panko breadcrumbs just because that's what I had around. Normally I would use just regular old breadcrumbs unseasoned because I like to season my own. We'll throw an egg in there. We season with salt, a fair amount of salt and pepper. And then we cooked off some some onions, some carrot, and some garlic before. I've got 1 kind of small carrot, 1 onion, and 2 or 3 cloves of garlic that we cooked off and sauteed. Add those. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Call it maybe 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan. And because turkey doesn't have the biggest flavor, I actually throw just a little dash of ketchup in there. We're going to mix this all together. Obviously those vegetables were cooled off before we added them to the mix here. I'm going to mix everything together, get it incorporated, nicely homogenized, and then I'm going to just peel off a little tiny tester meatball and then fry it up or cook it up right in a pan. Taste it just to make sure that I've got the seasoning right. It's much better to do that and figure out I need a little more salt, need a little more pepper, a little more breadcrumbs, something like that, before you go ahead and make your 20 meatballs, 30 meatballs, whatever it is. So let me do that, and we're going to come back and I'll show you how to make it. Okay, so I just fried off my my little taster meatball, and it was absolutely perfect. If you needed to add some more seasoning, by all means, go ahead and do it. Now we're going to go ahead and form our meatballs. Now, I like to make my turkey meatballs a little bit smaller than I would normal meatballs because the turkey is a leaner meat, and a leaner meat will dry out quicker. So what you do, you make the meatball a little bit smaller, takes less time to cook, and therefore has less time to dry out, or less chance of drying out. I also use kind of this method where I assembly line as many, kind of little piles as I can, then just come back, form my little meatballs, probably about 2 bites each, and then we're good to go. Now once I get all these done, we're going to come back. I'm going to show you how to fry them off. I like to pan fry mine to get a nice kind of crusty outside, and then poach them in a bit of tomato sauce. Okay, so just like our normal meatballs, or normal meatballs, beef meatballs, pork meatballs, I like to saute our turkey meatballs off on top of the pan as a first cooking process. Get kind of nicely browned edges. That adds to the flavor. It also, I think, gives them a little bit better texture. So I'm just going to load them into the pan. You don't want to get too crowded, but you can fit a good amount. Let them go for like 3 or 4 minutes on this one side, then just flip them over. We'll do the other side. Really, once you do 2 sides, that's kind of all you really need to do. And then I've got a basic tomato sauce going. As they cook, I'm just going to plop them into that sauce over a really low heat, kind of just barely simmering heat, and let them go for like 15-20 minutes to get fully cooked through. Okay, so once the turkey meatballs look like that, don't worry that the sides, if I can show you a side, is maybe not as brown as the top and bottom. That's totally fine. Just pull them off the heat, and then I've got, like I said, my basic tomato sauce, and then we're just going to lay our turkey meatballs right down in the sauce. Let them poach for 15-20 minutes or so, basically until they're cooked. The key thing is just keep them really low. The sauce should just kind of barely be simmering, and you also don't want to get in there. Once you get them in, you don't want to get in and stir them up, or you could break up the meatballs. You just kind of want to let them sit there real quiet like. I'm going to go ahead and cover it. We'll come back in about 20 minutes. Okay, so after about 20 minutes, the meatballs are going to be cooked. You can let them go longer, but they certainly don't need it. And the longer they go, the more you risk them being a little bit overcooked. So I'm going to kill the heat, and we've got our little pasta bowl here. Now these guys, like I said, are a little bit small. So maybe you go like 5 meatballs in a nice serving with some of that delicious sauce. And then I like to garnish mine with a little bit of parsley, not too much, and a little bit more grated Parmesan cheese. And there you got turkey meatballs and a simple tomato sauce. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.